Hello everyone, it's my favourite video to make each year. It's my Melbourne Cup preview 2025 this year, and I cannot wait to get stuck into the video. We're going to look at a market first, then get onto some replays, and finishing off with the window, which includes my suggested bet and outlined exotics. Let's take a quick look at the market, and it's headlined by Half Yours. The favourite is at $6.50. Valiant King is at $7.50. Presage Nocturne on the third line of betting at $8. $8.50 about for Buckaroo. $9 for the toppy Al Riffa. Then we've got River of Stars out to $16. Next, One Smooth Operator. Then Maidan Absurd. Further is at 23s. Then we've got Vorban. Next in line, we've got Royal Supremacy. And then Torrenzino, Middle Earth, Flatten the Curve out to $35. Then we have got Goody Two Shoes, Arapaho, and then 18th in the market, we've got Chevalier Rose at $51. Parchment Party, The American, More Felons, Smokin' Romans, Athabascan, Second Outsider, Land Legend, and the outsider of the field after drawing the outside gate is Changing of the Guard. Now let's take a look at the replay of the Caulfield Cup, won by Half Yours, featuring Valiant King, Presage Nocturne, River of Stars, and others that I haven't highlighted. Look, out of these four horses, I thought the run of the race was Valiant King. Yes, it snuck some ground along the inside, but it was held up in the straight and ran a very, very good race. Half Yours, despite winning, I thought it got the absolute perfect setup, perfect in-run position. It was produced at the right time, and it did well to win, but I thought it had all the favours. River of Stars was a very good run, but it was unexpected. It started about 100 to 1, but the one that I want to be following out of this Caulfield Cup, and I've said it a few times before, is Presage Nocturne, the French horse, the grey. It had its Oz debut on this occasion in the Caulfield Cup, and it was a very, very good Australian debut. It'll take some fitness benefit for that run and be hard to beat in the Melbourne Cup. I next want to talk about Al Riffa. Now, I cannot show its last start win in the Irish St. Ledger because Racing TV keeps copyrighting my videos. Thanks a lot, Racing TV. But I want to bring up an interesting stat that I put in the Discord not long ago. Link in the description to the Discord, but pretty much these have been the imports that have carried over 56.5 kilos in the last 15 years of the Melbourne Cup, and the horses that have finished closest to the front have been Red Cadeau and Spanish Mission, but they've both finished 4 lengths away. So Al Riffa is going to have to be very good to win, and these are some of the horses that have won the Irish St. Ledger and come out to the Melbourne Cup to contest, and none of them have really got close at all. So in my opinion, Al Riffa's got a lot of weight to carry, and it's going to need to be very good to win. We've so far had a look at 4 out of the 5 favourites. We haven't seen Buckaroo yet, and that's the replay we're about to take a look at. This is of the Cox Plate, a very, very good race over the 2040 at the Valley, won by Via Sistina. Buckaroo ran very well on this occasion, almost got the win, but Via Sistina edged it out by about a nose. Look, the Cox Plate in recent times has stood up. We've seen Gold Trip run in a Caulfield Cup, go to a Cox Plate, then into a Melbourne Cup and win. That was in 2022. We've seen Very Elegant win from the Cox Plate in 2021. And I actually think Buckaroo sets up very similarly to how Very Elegant did in 2021, as in Very Elegant ran in the Melbourne Cup in 2020 coming out of a Caulfield Cup. And Buckaroo did that last year, but this year Chris Waller, the same trainer as Very Elegant, has taken the same approach and run Buckaroo in the Cox Plate in the lead up to the Melbourne Cup. So trying to replicate a bit of a Very Elegant path. We're going to take a look at a replay of the Melbourne Cup from last year featuring Buckaroo, Valiant King, Absurd, One Smooth Operator, and one other horse that I'm forgetting at the moment. In terms of Buckaroo, look, the query with him is that the 3,200 metres, he might not run it out. On this occasion, he had to do a lot of work from the 800 to the 400, and that sort of cooked him the last 200 metres. He was drawn wide on this day. Now he's drawn gate 12, so he won't have to get going as early, I don't think. But still, it's a bit of a question mark on the 3,200 metres with him. One smooth operator had a very good starting price in last year's Melbourne Cup and had a checkered passage up the straight. Wouldn't have won, but should have finished closer. Valiant King actually didn't run too bad, and Absurd was getting up the inside, just like he might be doing on Tuesday. He's drawn gate 4. He might be sneaking up the inside again. Now I want to highlight a graphic that I put up in my how to pick the winner of the 2025 Melbourne Cup video. These are 2 point systems that I put together to help you guys find the winner of the Melbourne Cup. So this point system, there's a few layers to this one, but it should help you find the winner of the Melbourne Cup, so you can award a point to a horse that has these form factors. And if you want to find the best value horse in the Melbourne Cup, combining profit on turnover, then you might want to use this system. A little more simple to help you find the Melbourne Cup best value horse this year. The Too Darn Hot Never Shot the Deputy Colt has black type potential. Take a moment to look at the amount of stacked talent in this horse's pedigree. You can pause if you want. I rate Too Darn Hot as one of the best sires in the country right now. He's already sired a 2-year-old stakes winner this season in Sheiky. This colt is set to be trained by Tom Dabernick, who Flying Start have had great success with through stakes winner Flying Mascot and other regular winners in Dreams L and Call to Glory. Shares start from $3,775, so hit the link in the description to secure your share today. Now, before we look at my suggested bet and outlined exotics for this year's Melbourne Cup, we need to check in on the window after the final 2 form factors of predicted in-run position and barrier have been decided. So I want to recap what we're looking for in this window. So here's the past 15 winners of the Melbourne Cup and where they've been on this graph heading into the Melbourne Cup. So as you can see here, I've outlined a simple window where 12 out of the last 15 Melbourne Cup winners have come from. Knight's Choice was nowhere near it, and 2 Northern Hemisphere 3-year-olds in Cross Counter and Rekindling are outside of the window. Apart from those 3 horses, 12 out of the last 15 Melbourne Cup winners have headed into the Cup in this window that I've outlined. Now, someone asked in the comments earlier this week if I could do the place getters, and that's exactly what I've done. So again, it's sort of similar, all those horses between the 6 to 10 mark on the x-axis and between sort of -0.3 and -1.6 on the y-axis. They're sort of in that area. High Emotion, Warp Speed, Incentivize, Johannes Vermeer and Lucas Cranach missing out, and then Spanish Mission and Red Cadeau are up towards that top end of the graph. So what exactly are we looking for in this year's window? Well, I can tell you that 88% of top 3 horses in the last 15 years of the Melbourne Cup have had a bullet score greater than 5.5 and a POT score of greater than -1.6. So 88% of horses have had this, and obviously the outline window that we saw earlier with the winners, 80% of where the winners have come from, with the Northern Hemisphere 3-year-olds being up the top right of the graph, and then Knight's Choice, a bit of a fluke performance. So 88% chance that the top 3 place getters may come from this slot. So this is this year's graph, and there's only 9 horses outside of the zones that, well, I outlined earlier, above 5.5 and -1.6. So the horses missing out are Goody Two Shoes, More Felons, River of Stars, Valiant King narrowly, Maidan, Royal Supremacy, Land Legend, and Half Yours on its own down the bottom. So what this means logically is Half Yours is gross unders and Valiant King is unders, but not as much as Half Yours. So off my system of, looking at the history of the last 15 Melbourne Cups, Half Yours is gross unders. So we've got 15 left that fit this top 3 bill. And here's the window. There's 6 horses heading into the Melbourne Cup in the window this year where 80% of the Melbourne Cup winners have come from. And these are Vauban, Changing of the Guard, Presage Nocturne, Middle Earth, Parchment Party, and also Flatten the Curve. So who will my suggested bet be from this window? Well, let's start from the left to the right. Vauban and Changing of the Guard, I will not back because I think their bullet scores aren't high enough. I would like to see their bullet scores a little bit higher. Presage Nocturne, I will be backing. Middle Earth, I'm not sure about its recent form. It finished way off him in the Caulfield Cup. Well, maybe not way off him, but it was 6 lengths. It went to the JRA Cup and couldn't even manage to win that. Mark Zahra has got off Middle Earth to ride Al Rifa, so that's Middle Earth's regular rider gone. Ethan Brown's a pretty good rider, but the fact that Mark Zahra's got off and its recent form hasn't been great doesn't fill me with confidence. And then the 2 imports, Parchment Party and Flatten the Curve, I'm just not sure of the strength of their form lines. Without further ado, here's the bets that I'm having for the Melbourne Cup. I'm going to back Presage Nocturne to win. Hopefully can take some fitness out of that Caulfield Cup and be cherry ripe for the Melbourne Cup on Tuesday. And a horse that I haven't really mentioned yet called Further. It ranks up on the graph in that Northern Hemisphere 3-year-old zone that's been so successful with Rekindling and Cross Counter getting the job done. I like the profiling of Further a lot. I'm going to make a bet with you guys now. I'm going to do a Melbourne Cup stream on Tuesday. My live reaction to the Cup will be on stream. So what I'm going to bet is, if none of these bets get up, if Presage Nocturne doesn't win or Further doesn't run top 3, I'll shave the mow off live on stream. Now, I'm not great at exotics, but this is how I'm going to attack it. I'm using the window mainly for this. So we'll start with the Quinella. In for first, I've got Buckaroo, Presage Nocturne, Middle Earth, Flatten the Curve, Further, and Parchment Party. These are the ones from the window. Buckaroo's from outside the window, but it's very close to the window that I've got in for first. And then to run second, I've got Al Rifa, Buckaroo, Vauban, Presage Nocturne, Middle Earth, Absurd, Flatten the Curve, Changing of the Guard, One Smooth Operator, Further, and also Parchment Party. The horses that I've got in for second in the Quinella, I've got for third in the Trifecta and fourth in the first 4. So if we go back to this graph, I wanted to highlight the 4 horses up the top left of the box that are above a 5.5 X score and above a negative 1.6 Y score in Torrenzino, Chevalier Rose, Arapaho, and Athabaskan for the placings, but you can't have them all, and the combinations that I've got in my exotics at the moment are well and truly enough. So I couldn't include them, but I might have a bet myself on those exotics with those 4 horses included closer to the date, but you can decide how many combinations is right for you. If you want to include those 4 horses up the top left of the box, you can if you want. Well, thanks everyone for watching my Melbourne Cup preview. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know who you're backing in the Melbourne Cup in the comments section. I'm going for Presage Nocturne the win and Further on an each way basis. Make sure to tune in to my Melbourne Cup live stream on Tuesday afternoon. I might be shaving off the mow. Let's see what happens. Until next video, bye for now.